He buttoned the beige shirt slowly, tucking it into the polyester slacks. The name tag read, Harold. Nobody looked twice. Just another temp janitor reporting for duty at Crestline Auto Mall's overnight detail crew. But Harold wasn't a janitor. He was the man who built the dealership. Clayton Merritt. Owner. Multimillionaire. And tonight, just another man pushing him up. Clayton had owned Crestline for 15 years. It was one of the highest performing dealerships in the region. Sales were strong. Online reviews? Mostly glowing. He'd built a name for himself, polished, professional, a face on the billboards lining the freeway. But something hadn't felt right for a while. Too many complaints ending in resolved. Too many whistleblowers quitting before HR could call them back. Too many people, quiet. Then one day, his niece, a business school grad, told him bluntly, "You're running a brand, Uncle Clay. Not a company. It's clean at the top. But dirty sells. And dirty hides things." So he decided to find out how dirty. Not as the boss, but as the help. A week later, he walked in through the service bay side door. No driver, no Rolex. Just a borrowed lunch pail, a fake resume, and a voice pitched one register lower. The overnight crew was small. 2 detailers. 1 lot security guy. A night manager named Troy. And 1 cashier, Rosa, working the 4 p.m. to midnight close shift. By midnight, Rosa was usually alone. First night in, Clayton watched from a shadowed corner as a man in a suit tapped the glass at the front desk. "Hey, I was told I could pick my car up tonight." Rosa shuffled to the counter. "I'm sorry, sir, the keys are locked in service until morning." The man cut her off. "Don't play dumb with me. That car's mine. You want to pay for the Uber I'll need to get home? I can't release a vehicle without." "What's your name?" She paused. Soft voice. "Rosa. I'll be sure to mention that when I call corporate tomorrow." Clayton felt the heat rise in his chest. The man snapped a picture of her. She flinched. Later that night, he found her in the employee lounge. Sitting alone. Head in her hands. "You okay?" he asked, gently. She looked up, startled. "Just tired," she whispered. "That's all." The second night, he learned that Troy didn't do inspections. Didn't do paperwork. Didn't do anything, really. At 10:11 p.m., Clayton passed the service bay and found Troy lounging in a tricked-out Jeep. Feet up on the dash. Phone lit. Laughing at a video. "You work here or just test driving?" Clayton asked, half joking. Troy barely glanced at him. "Better not get lippy, Harold. I can have your hours cut tomorrow." Clayton smiled. Noted the time. Kept walking. By night 3, the second detailer, Marcus, was opening up. "You know the sales guys strip parts off the trade-ins before they hit service, right?" Clayton blinked. "What?" "They swap out new tires. Pull batteries. Sometimes even brake pads. Call it creative margining." He laughed bitterly. "And then service has to explain why a certified truck stalls on day 1. Clayton stared at him. "That legal?" Marcus shook his head. "That ethical?" They both went quiet. On night 5, Rosa came in with a bruise on her cheek. She said she slipped. No one asked further. At 9:42 p.m., Clayton walked into the supply closet to grab gloves. But froze when he heard voices. "I told her, she makes another mistake, she's out." It was Troy. "She's got no green card. Ain't gonna risk us for a part-time mouth breather." "Whatcha gonna do?" someone else asked. "Already docked her hours. Next time? File a report and let ICE do the rest." Laughter followed. Clayton stood there, fists clenched in the dark. He didn't sleep that night. By the 7th night, he had seen enough. Rosa skipping meals. Marcus clocking out 2 hours late, every night, for no extra pay. Customers lied to. Vehicles tampered with. And a manager running it all like a backroom hustle. But it was what he saw on night 8 that broke him. He walked in early. 4:37 p.m. Rosa was outside, shaking. Her bike had been vandalized. Tires slashed. Her bag dumped in the lot. Clayton walked over slowly. She tried to hide her tears. "They said I should learn my place," she murmured. "Who?" he asked. She just shook her head. He reached into his pocket. Handed her a $20 bill. "Bus fare. Please. Just go home for tonight." She hesitated. then nodded, thanked him softly, and disappeared down the road. At 11:58 p.m., Clayton walked into the manager's office. Troy was there. Boots up. TV on. "You've got 10 minutes, Clayton said. Troy laughed. 10 minutes to what, mop boy?" Clayton removed the name tag. Unbuttoned his shirt, revealing the monogram stitched inside. C. Merritt. Troy stopped laughing. Clayton walked to the desk, placed a folder down. Inside, printouts, screenshots, voicemails, security footage, a USB stick, complaints, labor violations, a list of vehicles your people modified, and evidence of your threats toward staff. Troy's face flushed. "You were spying?" "No," Clayton cut in. "I was witnessing." He leaned in. "You threatened the wrong girl, and underestimated the wrong janitor." He walked out. By morning, Troy was gone. His badge revoked. Security cameras updated. Staff contracts revised. Rosa came in the next afternoon to return her badge. "I heard about last night," she said, softly. "I don't want trouble. I just want peace." Clayton smiled. "You're not leaving." He slid an envelope toward her. A new offer. Full-time. Day shift. Health insurance. Back pay for the hours stolen from her. Her hand shook as she took it. He stood. "I'm sorry it took me going undercover to see what you've been carrying. I built this place to create opportunity. But I let people like Troy twist it." She nodded. And for the first time all week, smiled. But just as she walked out, Marcus came running up from the lot. "Boss, I think you need to see something." They rushed outside. A black Escalade sat idling behind the service bays. The trunk popped. Inside, 3 sets of dealership plates. A stack of forged maintenance reports. And 1 briefcase. Full of untraceable cash. Marcus looked at him. "This wasn't just bad management, sir." Clayton narrowed his eyes. This was a racket. He picked up his phone. "Call the cops," he said. Then paused. "No, call the State Bureau. We're gonna need backup." As the sirens began to rise in the distance, Clayton turned to Marcus. "This isn't over." By the time the squad cars rolled into the Crestline Auto Mall lot, the first crack of morning light was breaking over the rooftop banners. The flashing red and blues lit up the silver sedans and showroom windows, bouncing off polished paint and casting warped reflections in the dealership's glass facade. Clayton Merritt stood beside Marcus, his jaw tight, eyes locked on the black Escalade. Inside that trunk, more than stolen parts and forged paperwork. It was proof of something much worse. Something systemic. Not just neglect. Not just bad management. But organized theft. And the people covering it up weren't just managers, they were veterans of the dealership. Trusted employees. Promoted over time. Rewarded for profits no one dared question. Detectives moved quickly. They opened boxes. Took statements. Loaded bag after bag of evidence into the back of a marked unit. When one officer turned and asked, "You the owner?" Clayton nodded, but said nothing. He just watched. In silence. By noon, news had spread. Local papers. Online forums. Headlines like, "Auto Empire rocked by internal theft ring." "Crestline scandal, millions in fraud, all under one roof." And beneath those headlines? Faces. People Clayton knew. Smiling in old team photos. It made his stomach turn. That afternoon, the board called an emergency meeting. His investors wanted answers. His marketing lead wanted spin. His legal team wanted silence. But Clayton wanted truth. He walked into the boardroom wearing the same beige shirt he'd worn all week. Still tucked. Still buttoned. He placed a thick binder on the table. "No lawyers. No scripts," he said. "Just this." Inside the binder were his notes. Eyewitness accounts. Security logs. Audio clips. Printouts of the fake service tickets. Transcripts of late-night conversations he'd overheard. When someone asked, "Why didn't you bring this to HR first?" Clayton looked them straight in the eye. "Because HR works for me. And I wasn't paying attention." Silence. Then, "So what now?" He took a breath. "We got it. Top to bottom. We stop talking about culture and start living it. We stop rewarding margin and start rewarding integrity." Another board member cleared her throat. This could tank the brand. Clayton nodded. Maybe it should. Maybe it needs to. Then he stood. This isn't a scandal. It's a reckoning. And we either fix it, or I walk. Nobody spoke after that. They didn't need to. The next morning, the staff came into something they'd never seen before. Taped to the main lobby glass, a letter from Clayton. Typed. Signed. Visible to employees, customers, and press alike. To the people who keep Crestline running, you were promised opportunity. Many of you were given exploitation. That ends now. Inside, Troy's old office was empty. The furniture cleared. The door left open. In its place, an open-floor room labeled Accountability Center. Rosa was offered the first seat on the new ethics committee. She cried when she read the offer. Not because it was a promotion, but because someone finally saw her. Clayton met her in the break room that afternoon. "You sure you want this?" he asked. She looked up from her cup. "I don't want power," she said softly. "I just want it to be fair." He smiled. "Then you're exactly who we need." That week, Marcus was named lead night supervisor. Full benefits. Training budget. And a promise, build your own team. From scratch. He called his younger brother that night and said, "For the first time, I don't feel like I'm cleaning up someone else's mess. I get to prevent it." But not everyone left quietly. A few former staff members went to the media. Accused Clayton of betrayal. Called him a showman. Claimed the undercover stunt was a PR trick. He didn't respond. Didn't issue a press release. Didn't hold a press conference. Instead, he walked back into the service bay on a Thursday night, put on a fresh beige shirt, and spent the next 6 hours restocking supplies with the new crew. No cameras. No speeches. Just a man doing the work. And in that silence, something shifted. For the first time, people started coming to him. Janitors. Sales reps. Technicians. They shared things they'd held in for years. Stories of discrimination. Of missing wages. Of being dismissed or ignored or humiliated. One tech, a man in his 60s, leaned on a mop and said quietly, "I thought no one cared. Now I think maybe someone does." Clayton didn't promise miracles. Didn't say all the right things. But he showed up. And people noticed. 3 months later, Crestline launched the Floor Up initiative. Every new manager would spend their first 30 days working every job in the dealership, janitor, cashier, porter, lot tech, before taking a desk. It was mandatory. Non-negotiable. Some quit. Many didn't. The culture started to shift. Slowly. But meaningfully. Customers noticed too. Reviews no longer mentioned just prices. They mentioned names. Rosa. Marcus. Luis. Employees who made them feel seen. Sales dipped briefly. Then climbed again. But higher this time. Because the trust was real. 6 months after the investigation, Clayton stood outside the showroom watching a new hire. Polished the front glass. She turned, smiled, and waved. He waved back. Then he walked out to the sidewalk, where a small brass plaque had just been installed beside the front door. It read, "Integrity isn't what we preach. It's what we prove when no one's watching." He stared at it for a long time. Behind him, the showroom buzzed. Phones ringing. Laughter echoing. Footsteps moving with purpose. He smiled. For the first time in years, he didn't feel like a CEO. He felt like part of it. He turned his face toward the sun. Closed his eyes. And just breathed. Because sometimes justice isn't loud. It's quiet. Steady. Human. And it begins when the person at the top finally decides to walk the floor and listen. If this story moved you, don't let it stop here. Share it with someone who's ever felt unseen, unheard, or underestimated. Because real change doesn't start in boardrooms, it starts with people who pay attention. Like Clayton did. Like you can. Subscribe for more stories that expose the truth, challenge the system, and remind us what justice really looks like, one shift, one voice, one moment at a time. Hit the bell. Speak up. Stay awake. Because integrity isn't what we preach, it's what we prove.